Here are 7 reasons not practicing awareness quietly hurts your future self. Reason number 1, you repeat patterns without knowing it. Without awareness, you repeat patterns you didn't choose. Habits run automatically. Habits are the things that you don't have to think about. The things that you do every day, day in and day out. They're kind of like your default settings. The you that everyone else sees and the you that you are without any prompting. You have firmly established yourself so strongly from all of the choices and actions in the past that that's the person that everyone expects to see. Right? That's the person that they expect to interact with. But you are not defined by your habits. You can change and you can grow into something else. Whatever happened in the past will define the future, unless acted upon in the present. Once you are aware that the things that you are doing are habits, everything else becomes more clear. Every action you do becomes a choice, and every decision becomes a fork in the road. One direction leading into one future, and the other direction leading into another. The question you have to ask yourself is, which direction do I want to head in? Awareness is the starting point. Awareness is the key that opens your mind to the perception that you have a choice. And your habits that you are already doing don't have to be the habits that you will do or have to do in the future. Patterns feel normal, not intentional. The patterns that you fall in day to day are normal. They are comfortable. And they are what you expect. Change comes from the unknown. Change happens when what you expect is unclear. But there's a goal in mind. That change will push you to be your best, because the unclear goal can come out one of 2 ways, right? Good or bad. So since we strive for the good outcome, we are putting more effort into it. Your future self is slowly absorbing all of those patterns, and the longer that you continue down the path you're on, the more solid the path becomes. Your future self is inheriting all the choices that you make. So choose change. Choose the path that leads you to be something better. Even if it's unclear or scary. Knowing that you have a choice and having the awareness that what you want is up to you and only you can achieve it, it makes it more real, thus allowing you to grasp for it in a meaningful way. The unfortunate part about habits is that the more you do something, the more often you'll do that thing in the future. But that's also a good bit, right? If you can build bad or unhelpful habits into your life, then you can certainly develop good habits into your life as well. Performing multiple good actions over and over and over will start to solidify your habits towards the positive. And the more that you do them, the more your life begins to take shape based on your own wants or the vision that you have for your future self. Being aware of how a life is shaped with small actions, you are also aware how to shape it so that your future self is the thing in focus. That way, whatever you want to accomplish is always in view. Every choice or decision can be made with your future self in mind. And that eventually will lead you toward the life that you want. So either for good or for bad, your future self is inheriting the choices that you make and decide to do over and over. If you can step back and become aware of those choices and make a meaningful change, then anything is possible. Awareness isn't the thing that's going to change your life. It's the thing that allows you to understand that your life can change. Reason number 2, you confuse feeling busy with making progress. Being busy isn't the same as moving forward. Activity can hide avoidance. There are 1,001 things that you can find in any given day to do. Being busy is an increasingly common occurrence these days. We have so many things that we can be doing. It's very easy to put the things that are busy in front of things that we should actually be doing because they seem urgent, right? Urgency is a very misleading thing, especially when procrastination is involved. We can cover things that we ought to do with things that we should do or with things that we are busy with. There are certainly times where we need to do things that we need to do, right? We need to work, we need to clean, we need to take care of children and all that other stuff. I'm talking about the things that you see as busy when really they're just time suckers. Awareness of this fact and the human tendency to prioritize busyness will allow you to take a step back and gauge whether this thing is actually worth doing or not. Whether being busy is actually the correct move in your situation. Busyness feels productive, but lacks direction. Unless you're moving in a direction, your future self is not benefiting from your busyness. It's important to be intentional about your time and to set time aside every day for what's important for you to be doing. Awareness throughout your day allows you to prioritize the things that you are doing and shift them towards a direction, because it's important to always be moving in a direction. Awareness separates motion from momentum. Okay, awareness takes that energy that you're already emitting and focuses it into what it should be focused on. Think of your thoughts like a flashlight, right? It shines on one thing at a time, sometimes like a laser, only seeing one little portion of whatever you're doing, and very often missing the big picture. Awareness allows that beam of light to become larger and to cover more of an area, seeing what else is happening in your life, allowing you to recalibrate into the right direction. Your future self needs a direction. Otherwise, your busyness will just take over and nothing will ever get done. Make a conscious choice to put your energy into a direction. That direction will lead you to your future self. Reason number 3, you're reacting instead of choosing. So when awareness is low, reaction replaces choice. Emotional reactions feel urgent, especially when you're stressed, anxious, tired, or frustrated. These reactions seem right in the moment, but only seem that way because we aren't looking at it with a level head. We aren't using our awareness to see all of the different things that are going on, all of the different factors and directions that we can choose in that moment. Often the reaction is rushed, feeling like we have less time than we actually do. And more often than not, the feeling can be so overwhelming that it feels like the only choice. I want to tell you that there are always more choices than reacting. Your future self is built by choices, not reactions, but it takes conscious awareness of such things before these choices can be seen. It takes a moment of thought. So whatever it is that you're doing in the moment, taking a moment will not change what's happening, and it can actually help you see all the different choices that are actually available to you. Very often in the midst of those choices, the choice that leads in the direction of your future self will be plain if you give yourself the opportunity to find it. Impulses take control away from you. Impulses, like habits, are done automatically. It's the first thought that you have, and that impulse is very strong because it seems like the right decision at the time. But again, much like with emotional choices, being aware when you're acting impulsively or thinking impulsively is the first step. Taking a step back and reevaluating what's actually going on will allow you to decide on the best course of action, and not the one that seems best or feels right in the moment. I will say that sometimes trusting your gut is part of being aware of things as well. The first gut reaction is often very telling, but it should be analyzed before taking action. Now, awareness creates pause. Who remembers those old Kit Kat commercials, right? Something is happening, and everything is going crazy, and it's so confusing, and right before the character makes a bad decision, or kind of goes crazy, they break out a pack of Kit Kats, and time stops, right? They break it, and allows them like a moment in time to come up with a good decision to do, right? The most important thing that matters. Awareness is like that. It's the thing that allows you to see everything going on from an outside perspective, then making a decision. Because your future self is built correctly through choices, not reactions. Reason number 4. You drift into decisions you never meant to make. Drift makes decisions for you when you don't. Default paths form quietly. Like habits, the things that you do every day quietly form into bigger and bigger parts of your life until they become your default patterns. These default patterns slowly take over until you don't even think about them anymore. Awareness of this fact means that you are noticing the things that you're doing on a regular basis. Awareness can also be triggered by a trusted friend or loved one who cares about you enough to tell you what you're doing even though you don't see it yourself. The further you go in these patterns, the less intentional choices result, leading to a future self that just happens instead of a future self that you choose. Making no decision is still making a decision. Going with the flow is still moving. Whether you say yes, no, or give no answer at all, you're still choosing something. If I say, let's go to the park, you can either say yes, let's go, or no, I don't want to go, or not give me a decision. It's kind of the equivalent of saying, it's up to me, right? In the first two cases, you're actually choosing a direction, whether you want to go or you don't, and the person asking you adjusts accordingly. If you don't give a decision, or you let the other person choose, then you're drifting in whichever direction someone else wants to go. Okay, giving up your agency for someone else's opinion. Too many indecisions, and you'll end up in whichever direction you're headed. Or even worse, in someone else's direction, losing more and more of your decision-making power and your identity. Awareness interrupts drift by making the direction that you take a conscious decision. You put the power of agency in your own hand, and not someone else's, or simply how the day goes. It's okay to play the day by ear every now and then, but you don't want the habit to take hold of your life. When I was younger, I allowed others' opinions to guide my actions. When someone asked me what I wanted to do, I would say, it doesn't matter, or it's up to them. Right? At the time, I wasn't very opinionated to begin with, but I should have chosen a direction either way. You know why? After enough times of me saying that I didn't matter, right, people asked my opinion less and less, because they knew I was just going to say whatever. Not only will you lose your agency and your ability to choose, but the number of times that you can even choose things might lessen. Awareness of this fact wakes you out of autopilot and allows you to take control of your life. Instead of doing nothing, choose to do something. Something that will lead you down the path toward your future self. Reason number 5. You mislabel the problem as motivation. Okay? Most people don't lack motivation. They lack clarity and understanding. Motivation comes after understanding, not before. Waiting for motivation will only cause frustration and sadness after you've already started to learn something. The initial motivation started you off, right? It got you up, it got you moving. You decided to start something new or get your act together long enough to set your mind on the goal. But after you start, you shouldn't expect motivation to come like that every time. The novelty fades quickly, and you need to rely on your perseverance to carry you through. You need small, repeatable steps in order to progress from that point. Only with small, repeatable steps will you have the possibility of seeing that motivation further down the road. You see, motivation is very much results-based. Once you're in the middle of something, at the start, you saw instant results because it was new. You went over to that piano and started to make music. An instant dopamine hit. You get into some scales and you're able to play a small song or two. Now you're in it, right? Getting those scales faster, working on fingering techniques, learning music theory, and thinking about chords, fifths, and the pedal, right? It's exhausting. And the newness of the experience has long since dried up. And you're on to the next phase, where you practice something over and over and over in order to get better. Without those small steps that are easy to do, hoping for that motivation to get you to practice and to learn the next level of things are going to be too much for what little motivation you have left. And you may quit. Your future self doesn't need hype. It needs direction. Your mind needs direction to head into those things, and it needs small steps to get you there. Don't rely on motivation. Choose a direction. Unclear goals can drain energy. Nothing is more unmotivating than progressing in too many directions at once. If you don't set your mind on a goal, a realistic goal given your time frame, then you might go off in all different directions, only gaining enough practice in something long enough to get bored with it and move on to something else. Too many directions and not enough focus. Because how can you focus on all those things at once? You need to come up with a goal in mind and a future to focus on in order to really head in that direction with all of your energy. Be aware of the direction and be aware of the different directions that you're heading in at the same time. Are they all aligned? Do they work well together? If not, it may be time to rearrange some goals or to course correct some, if not all of them. Being aware of your goals and how you're progressing in them and which directions you're heading in is a very important thing to keep in mind when making decisions. Awareness creates purpose in your life. Having that awareness allows you to see what kind of actions you're taking and which kinds of things that you're putting in front of others. Seeing what you need to accomplish and what you need to do step by step to get there is an extremely motivating thought. Knowing that all you have to do is follow steps and you'll arrive at a destination is much easier to do than to choose a thing and do things in the hope that you get there eventually. Right? The worst thing is when you know where you want to go and how to get there, but decide not to follow your own steps in lieu of constant flashy new things that you've convinced yourself is better than the goal that you've already set. Don't fall for the hype. Choose a direction and stick to it. Reason 6. You tolerate things that slowly shape your life. What you tolerate quietly becomes your future. Small tolerances compound into larger messes and unintended consequences when it would have been easy to fix it at the start. This is where the term nip it in the bud comes in. If you notice, by using your awareness, that you're forming a bad habit or something is starting to take over your life, and you can foresee it becoming a problem for you in the future, then you have to stop it. Kurt Vonnegut once said, "A small step backward after making a wrong turn is a step in the right direction." How many people have been in the situation where they've been taking a wrong turn while driving, and instead of stopping as soon as they notice, they keep going in the hopes that the correct path will magically appear, or better yet, that they'll discover a new shortcut? It never works, right? Then why do we keep doing it? Because we tolerate some discomfort in the hopes that the image that we have of ourselves isn't wrong. I meant to do that, even though what you meant to do was to take the right turn. Taking a step backwards in the wrong direction will get you on the right path quicker than keeping down the wrong road, even though it's negative progress, right? I know sometimes any direction feels like progress, but your progress needs to be aligned to the direction that you are intending to go in, or else you'll just waste your energy. Set limits for how much you'll tolerate things. Right? Your future self needs boundaries in order to come about. You can't let everything slide, or else nothing is held accountable. Right? Stand for something, or you'll fall for anything. Discomfort becomes your identity if you allow too many things to go unchecked. Once too many things start to take over, the discomfort will grow and grow until everything is uncomfortable. But since you've allowed it to become your life, there's nothing you can do about it except take drastic measures. And drastic measures are hard and have a much larger probability of failing than seeing something and stopping it before it gets out of hand. Awareness reveals the silent compromises that you've been allowing into your life. By taking a step back in your life, you'll be able to see all the things that you're tolerating a bit too much and see how to best nip them in the bud. Having awareness about which boundaries that you have allows you to see at once when something has gotten out of hand and something that needs correcting. And correcting it sooner is always better than correcting it later. Remember, habits are formed with repeated action. Letting things happen in your life that you shouldn't, or doing things in directions that you shouldn't be headed, is not going to be good for you in the long run. It's all right to stop and readjust. It's normal to check on your progress every now and then. Taking a critical look at yourself and seeing what's working as well as what hasn't been working is okay. Be aware of the boundaries that you set in your life. They're the constraints that will allow your future self to take shape. And finally, reason number 7. You delay change until it feels urgent. So your lack of awareness turns small problems into big problems. This relates to nipping a problem in the bud. But instead of dealing with a problem before it becomes larger, you refuse to deal with something that you have to do in order to get better until the absolute last moment, turning that small task into a great big task that is all of a sudden has a lot of pressure on it. Pain becomes the motivator when you don't start a project early enough. Art can become something like this. Art is fun and should never, ever, ever cause stress or pain. But very often we procrastinate so badly that by the time we start, we have just enough time to finish it before it's due. Whether it's for a commission or something for like a present for a family member, you decide to start with just enough time left. as long as you knuckle down and work straight through the night, or sometimes for days on end. Art loses all of its wonder and joy that way. It becomes a job, something that you'll regret having to do because you put yourself into a bad situation where you forced yourself to feel that pain. The worst part is that if it looks all right after you're done with it, that bad habit will have been reinforced, meaning that you'll be more likely to do it in the future. So it's actually more likely that you're going to keep procrastinating your art project more and more and more, or whatever you're doing, so that it's going to reinforce that pain and bad behavior until you just hate it. And don't let that happen. Don't start those bad habits. Start things when it's easier. Get a start on big projects when there's plenty of time, because the pain of procrastination is much worse than the discomfort of intentional productivity. Nothing wrong with being productive. Awareness allows gentle correction of those habits and allows you to take control of things early before they become a problem. Procrastination is a nasty problem because it's so subtle, and procrastination is so comfortable at the same time. That is the very thing that you need to be aware of. If there's something that you should be doing, but instead you're comfortable not doing it, that's a problem. Learning things is supposed to be uncomfortable. You are learning, you're growing, and none of that can happen while you're comfortable. The future you pays for changes that you refuse to make early. So embrace that change. Embrace being uncomfortable. Start that project now. Don't wait until you think there's no time left. Now's the time. Seize the day. Awareness doesn't fix your life, but it does give you back your authorship of it. Which of these hit closest for you? Pick just one of these and notice it this week. Remind yourself of it throughout the day and see if you can become more aware of it more regularly. Why don't you put your choice in a comment below? And if you liked this video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Be sure to follow along here with me as we navigate the seas of change. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.